UFC 258 Usman versus Burns, and previewing UFC Vegas 19 Blades versus Lewis. No, you did not mishear that. They redid that fight. Didn't actually happen. Now, before we get into the intros, I just want to throw this out there for anyone who is watching live. We want to know where you're watching from. Give me your country, give me your city. We want to know where our audience is, and we'll give you a shout. Type it right in the chat as you hop in there, as you were watching live, all 25 of you that are already in here and beyond. I want to know where you're coming from. We'll give you a shout out later. We're just curious. Type it right on in. Well, I am Bob Voss, your favorite garbage man at MMA State of Mind, here with Mikey Gilman at Mikey Gills. That's Gills with a Z. Also, I'm here with Real Mike Copenhaver. Also, follow the show on Twitter at MMAforMoney Show. Mike Gills, how are you doing?
I haven't slept in 36 hours. The Orioles were given a 0.0% chance to win the World Series, and I've spent the better half of the last day arguing over the merits of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. My life is fantastic. Let's go.
Real Mike, how are you doing on this fine evening?
You can't be doing better if you're part of the MMA for Money team, because this last weekend we just absolutely destroyed it between the MMA for Money show, cashing our bet ×2. The man himself, MMA for Money Prime, absolutely killed the opening weekend of NASCAR at Daytona. He cashed a 20-1 with Austin Dillon in the duels, a 10-1 with Austin Cindric in the Xfinity Series, and predicted a massive upset on the Daytona 500, and chose Michael McDowell, 100-1 underdog to cash. He cleared us like over 30 units on the weekend. It was just absolutely stupid.
Sorry, I'm pausing quick, reading down a few things. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit staggered today, but we're going to try to make it as clear as possible. Want to give a shout out to the people that come in here. Jack Girl from Kansas City. How are you doing? Yeah, I know it's cold there. We were talking about that earlier. Lynn from Calgary. What's up? Aaron from, I'm going to say Rola. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, by all means, type out phonetics for that. I will do my best to get on there. The MMA for Money show is here live. A little delayed, but we are live right here on Haps. What is Haps? It is a new platform that makes it super easy to simultaneously broadcast to all the social media channels. If you download and subscribe to Haps, you will get 100 free coins for joining, which you can support our work at the MMA for Money show. Well, you can find the show on Haps. If you're watching live right now, what's up? On Periscope, we're there too. Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, just the RSS feed. Pause. Rola. Okay. Rola. I'm going to go with that. I'm learning here. I'm becoming more educated. We are also on YouTube for both full-length shows, little tidbits later on in the week. Subscribe. You'll never miss a show. You'll never miss these beautiful faces. I mean, like, how else are you going to be able to go back to last week's show and look at Mikey Gill's wonderful Fu Manchu that he rocked? There is documentation for that for all eternity. Or a couple weeks back, the amazing outfit that Real Mike was wearing. These are little time capsules to hold on going forward. And if you go there, you could like, comment, and share, spread the word, and you'll never miss a show. It's great stuff. Well, you know what? We're just going to quick do a review right now of UFC 258. Right there, showing a little image. It's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna have the videos. We got this a couple images for you. Here's a fight poster. UFC 258. I'm gonna do a quick rundown, probably more than normal, and then we're gonna hit a few high points. Obviously, we're gonna hear how our wonderful DraftKings king did right there, and we're gonna go over how well our bet did, which it crushed, or our personal bets, which crushed. We had a fantastic event at UFC 258. First off, Julian Robertson versus Brendan Maverick got canceled. Gabe Green got the unanimous decision. Ricky Simon got the unanimous decision and busted up Brian Kelleher's face, something fierce. Poliana Viana got the first round armbar for that underdog there. Belal Muhammad got a unanimous decision victory, even with a swollen leg over Diego Lima. Anthony Hernandez got he subbed Rodolfo Vieira, which is just utterly insane. We're going to go back to that and talk with Real Mike about the position there. It's a little ridiculous. Bobby Green versus Jim Miller got canceled, so I didn't even get to dance on Bobby Green's grave for doing Bobby Green stuff. Maybe in the future when they remake that fight. Julian Marquez, he got a win over Maki Patola, which it isn't too crazy. The fact that he was getting beaten the entire time, and we'll talk about his big, we'll say his grand slam swing that went foul completely on his own mistake of what he called out after that. Our bet, Chris Gutierrez, -55, that was went to win you 2 units. He got the unanimous decision over Andre Uhl. Kelvin Gastelum got a workmanlike unanimous decision over Ian Heinisch. Alexa Grosso beat Macy Barber Still mad that wasn't a bet on this show, but she was -40 when we did the show, you guys.
Yeah, we told you guys we liked her, though.
She got all the way down to -110, man. The only downside about doing the show so early in this week, we don't quite get it. And then in the main event, Kamaru Usman got a TKO jab to ground and pound in round 3 over Gilbert Burns. So as I said, our bets went 1-0. It was for 2 units, but it was a bigger bet. 1-0 for 2 units on Chris Gutierrez. Before we even go back and hit a couple of these, Mikey Gills, how did our DraftKings do?
Woo! All right. So if you've ever seen The Godfather, you know that anytime you see an orange, you know that there is a death or some sort of absolute bloodbath coming up, which accurately describes our DraftKings this week. We're gonna start off here. 2 of 6. This one hurts to even say out loud. 2 of 6 for 359 points. Looking at it right now, our big scores were Kamaru Usman, obviously. He was one of our biggest ones, and then Ricky Simone. After that, it fell off the cliff. I tried to tell you guys to stack Gilbert Burns this week. I normally never recommend stacks. This is exactly why. He got finished in the second, scored us 20 points. Rodolfo Vieira, what the hell? What the He was tired in less time than it took me to finish the sentence. I have no idea what's going on. Mackie Patolo, you couldn't hold on for 30 more seconds. You absolute... God, 30 more seconds. Mackie Patolo would have cashed for like 99, 100 points. It would have worked out perfectly for us. And then Macy Barber versus Alexa Grosso. I stand by this. If that was a 4-round fight, Barber wins that fight. But whatever. It didn't go our way this week. We've been riding a hot streak leading into it. I'm not really too worried about it. 2 of 6, 359. It hurt. I'm just going to hold this orange. And real quick, while I got the microphone, Real Mike, I made you something. Just let me know. I can send it to you, whatever you want. It's just for you, buddy.
Yeah, Mikey's still mad that he lost the poll that it doesn't qualify as a PB&J because that thing's disgusting. No one ever asks for a PB&J and gets it on a tortilla, especially a cold one. It looks like hey, you know what? You know my grandpa actually wrote me earlier and he told me to remember my special needs cousin. And he made he used to make crafts like that when he was little, so I don't want to get too deep into it.
Oh, so good.
Sorry. What was the total point scoring there?
359 points. Sorry.
I thought you meant the poll because I
just want to put that out there because you're way too used to Mike Gills doing so great at DraftKings. Like that sounds bad saying that, but like I remember when I consistently played DraftKings and I made money getting in the mid to upper 300s. In my wildest dreams, I would get in the 4s. I think I broke 5 once.
Yeah, Mikey's like that salesman that's selling too good for like 3 months in a row, and then he looks at his boss, and the boss is like, "What? That's it? The next month?"
Let me throw this.
Bro, it was great.
Let me throw this one thing out there, though. I did actually have a pretty good weekend overall in DraftKings. One of the reasons why was Gabe Green. I made it a point to tell you guys that I was going to be playing him on a lot of different cards. And he, right in the middle of that, on different cards where I didn't stack the main event, Gabe Green was the difference maker, scored over 100 points. That guy killed it. He actually made it a profitable weekend for me. So it wasn't a complete loss. The show picks sucked, but the rest of them, it actually worked out pretty. Sorry,
your show picks. Our show pick did wonderful.
Fair enough.
We're not French here. This is we and you. This is you and us. We did great over here.
Okay, fine. Well, I picked Gabe Green because neither of you guys never even heard of the guy when we were on the show.
That's true. That's one. I was 100% factual.
Mikey likes to look at like the one piece of granule of sand of like light, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's so bright over there."
I'm just gonna hold this up right now. Okay.
Is that orange or Clementine? Clementine?
I don't have an orange over here. I was trying to make it work. What do you want from me?
Oh my god! Thank you.
Clementines.
Bob just wrecked you, bro.
I didn't see it.
All good. We got Namin here hopping in. He subscribed to the channel, man. Thank you. Now, if a few, I'm trying to see anyone else here that has hopped in that I have missed. We got a few more. Jamie B is in there, man, helping us with the videos recently. He's hopped in here. Thank you for the super heart there, Jack Girl. We got Mr. Prime himself, Jason right there, MMAforMoney. He's hopping there in the chat, talking to some people. Thank you for everyone for hopping in. We have 366 people here, about the majority of that on Periscope, but well over 100 here watching on the show. We got Mel M hopping in. How are you doing? Gotta say hi to all the people. Who are the people that consistently come and watch us? It's very appreciative. It's like very, very much appreciate that. I'm trying to get a couple of these ones I want to hit for sure. Okay, well, I mean, we have bare minimum. I want to talk about the Anthony Hernandez submission because I just want real Mike's take on that, on how ridiculous that was, and then I don't want to, but I feel like we have to talk about the whole Julian Marquez thing and how he crashed and burned after the fight, which I thought was hard to do. We already talked about a win. We talked about, I do agree, if the fight was a 5-round or even a 4-round, Macy Barber probably was going to win. And I'm not going to get into the GOAT talk with Kamaru Usman. He did look utterly fantastic, and he was a parlay for me, so I'm happy always. So a quick throw it into that Rodolfo Vieira versus Anthony Hernandez fight and the submission against such a touted BJJ expert, Real Mike. What do you think in that one?
Oh man, I mean, Rodolfo can make all the excuses in the world, and the Brazilians can make all the excuses in the world they want, and every single BJJ expert can make all the excuses they want. But I mean, dude, it was absolutely pathetic, bro. I don't really care, man. All I hear all the time about this guy is world champion this and 6-time that and 7-time blah blah blah. I mean, bro, I don't care, bro. It's irrelevant. You let a guy named Fluffy, fucking nickname is Fluffy. He choked your ass out. He doesn't even have a fucking black belt. It's not a brown belt. I don't even know if it's got a purple belt, but he tapped you so quick in there after you got tired. He looked like Forrest Gump when he touched Jenny's titties for the first time. He's just like it's so fast. Everything was so fast, you know, like he pump chump. It's disgusting, bro. They shouldn't have let him back in Brazil. He's disgusting. I don't want to hear anyone say anything good about him. I told you last week on the podcast, if you go back and look at it, his stand-up sucked. It was garbage. And at the very end of it, I said, you better believe that if Fluffy can keep this fight standing, that Vieira is in big trouble because he ain't all that. And that's exactly what I said. And that's what happened.
Pretty sure we had Hernandez. If I'm mishearing this right, I'm pretty sure I heard this on an interview. He very much asked to get his second stripe on his blue belt. So that just shows how just disrespectful that finish was.
Congratulations, Fluffy, on that blue belt, though. And not to hate, bro, but like, bro, I mean, we're not hating on Fluffy now. We're hating on Vieira. Vieira should have taken his black belt off and graced Fluffy with it after that shit, because Vieira doesn't deserve anything but to be choked by his own black belt till he turns blue.
It reminded me of the new Terminator movie.
Which Terminator? Oh yeah, it's going down.
It reminded me of the new Terminator movie with the chick, like where after like 10 or 15 seconds of fighting, she just falls apart completely. It was exactly like that. I think her name was Grace. That should be his new nickname, Rodolfo Grace Vieira. I'm gonna start the campaign.
I'm for it. Like, we're a little inside thing. We got a few nicknames for fighters. We like to keep going for it. Namin letting Real Mike know that he's on fire, and absolutely he is. Thank you, Prime himself, for giving us the mic drop award. I'm assuming that's going to Real Mike and the super hard from Mal M. Thank you so much. And no, Jamie B, I am not going to get on the PB&J train. I laid out my groundwork. I don't need to get too much into this. We have a limited show, and I've already said my piece via text.
We had an election. Had an election.
The election's still going on. No, it's still going on, dude. Those things are for 48 hours. That's still going on. So anyone who wants to vote on this
big lead, I got a big enough lead. It's over.
You're up by like 8 votes.
Whoever wants to vote on this anyone who wants to vote on this random poll that I got texts about when I was sleeping last night about if a PB&J can be on a tortilla or if it has to be on a sandwich. Mind you, it says PB&J, not PB&J sandwich.
Mind you, I can't put sandwich on the poll because that would make his selection look even worse. So no. That's because that's swaying. That's baiting. Exactly. That's what I didn't do. So you're lucky I didn't. I made the poll. I could have made it super biased. But I didn't. I'm still winning. I'm many votes ahead. Okay. I have Pennsylvania. I got Michigan. I got all these swing state votes. Okay. It's over. It's a wrap. KOPE won it.
What you don't understand is this is international, and I'm just waiting for a couple people to hop in there. Hey, what's up, Vince? We got Vince Guzman at Vince, aka Beans. He's got a great channel over there. Hits just about everything. He's hopping in the chat. How you doing from Alhambra? Probably butchered that. I'm gonna say what state that is because I'm pretty sure you work the loading at the Costco, and that's what you've been sending your videos from. Sorry, hit back. I'll reach back. Rephrasing. We're gonna move that. We're gonna move forward and not talk about that one. Julian Marquez is getting his butt whooped by Maki Pitolo, as Mike Gills had talked about. Yes. And then he has a come from behind victory, and then he uses his time to shout out Miley Cyrus. Well, you may think this is really awkward. Like everyone thinks this is really awkward. But she actually responds back. So big kudos on him. She says, if you shave an MC into your chest hair, because dude's got quite a bit of chest hair. I mean, it's more just long, like not nice and trim. Ryan Richardson hopping from Kansas City. Yes, I know, awkward spot to top with trim to chest hair. Either way, get the MC going, and then they would see what happens. So he says So he's in the gold. Everyone collectively in MMA is cheering him on social media. They're giving him huge shout outs, everything like that. And then he follows it up with saying she needs to get a henna tattoo of his nickname on her belly button, and then does a horrible Photoshop of it. And then she shuts him down. It's like I said, it's like he had a grand slam and like actively tried to make it go foul. Why? I don't know. Or
it's like as if he was rounding third, he drop kicked the umpire and just like
it just shows you how dumb the dumbest guy can be. I mean, you couldn't be handed easier putty than that, bro. I mean, it's like free when you're talking about Miley Cyrus or a porn star. Trust me, me and my brother, we used to do things that I can't even speak of because my lady listens to the show. So I'm gonna just keep it at that. The point is, Miley Cyrus is easy work once you get her, and it's like a little bit of alcohol and some MJ in her. And the fact that you ruined that, bro, should have put an MC in your chest so fast that wasn't even funny. But the guy's dumb, just like you said in her post. You know, this could have been yours, but you dumb, and he is dumb, bro. Bro, you know how cool it would have looked to have Miley Cyrus at your fight at the next one for both of them. Foolish fool.
And one thing I just want to throw out there. My wife just sent this to me. I'm just going to display a little picture here so everyone can see what's happening.
Yes.
What? That's a wrap. That's called a tortilla. That's a wrap. What is that?
Oh, sorry. If you can't see what it is, it is.
It looks disrespectful to a burrito is what it looks like.
It looks almost better than mine.
I'm sorry to all the Hispanic and all of the Mexicans who have sadly seen this disgusting display
American is
on a tortilla. Yeah, PB&J's on bread, not on a tortilla, bro.
Tortilla is bread. It's flatbread. It's in the name. We've been over this.
Bro, dude, tortilla is used for tacos and burritos. We don't use PB&J on them. It's known. You lost the poll, dude. It's over.
I don't care about the poll. I know what bread is.
Yeah, you don't know how to eat because you're supposed to chew with your mouth shut.
I'm arguing.
He's trying to participate in the conversation, apparently. Sorry, I'm scrolling back to let everybody know. We'll share it again. Yeah, there's 3 hours left in said poll. So if you're watching this live, feel free to hop in on that.
Yeah, Mike had his chance. Give me 5 seconds. That's all I need.
That's all right.
It's peanut butter and jelly. Just vote on it. Vote for me.
Go Google peanut butter and jelly and see what you find, bro. It'll pop up and tell you it's supposed to be on bread. You're a fool.
I don't want to go over this all day. Bread is a flatbread is bread. I win. It's over. Let's keep going.
We're not eating matzah right now, bro. We're talking about bread, leavened bread that actually rises with yeast. Shush.
We're gonna, if you guys can't see, I'm doing a hand gesture to the screen.
Yes,
because at the end of the day, this is an MMA show. So
and I already
I'm gonna get a we're gonna start bringing in the rule where we have to raise our hands to speak.
Yep. Don't mind me.
It's just, at least just for this portion here, bringing it down a notch. Sorry, I'm just bringing everything a little bit lower. I don't know how we went from Julian Marquez to that, but we're not going to break down that fight card anymore. We told you what happened. We told you how great we did on it from a betting aspect, for a personal aspect, all of that stuff. How consistently we're still doing on DraftKings. So I'm thinking it's time to move on. So
can I just say one more thing from that event? It's very quick.
Go for it.
John Anik, during the Ricky Simone Brian Kelleher fight, he actually
the glare so bad on that.
Well, he said that Simone actually squeezed a hole in Brian Kelleher's head. I just want to point out that it's actually the dumbest thing I've heard a UFC commentator ever say. Maybe even the dumbest in all of MMA, including Gus Johnson. Just had to throw that one out there.
It's true. I will give you that. But we are going to move on to a fight fight card that I was beyond excited to have. No, take it back. We're going to go back to the original statement. Fight I was very much looking forward to that we did break down, and then Blades tested positive for COVID, so that went away. Thank you, Ryan Richardson, for that amazing high award. I'm saying hi right back. And also hi to all 500 or so of you watching in live right now. Very much appreciate everyone hopping in. Feel free to share or hop in, comment. We got a bunch of people talking within the chat. Throw questions out there if need be. We would love to respond to them and get back at you. We're going to UFC Vegas 19. Blades versus Lewis. I apologize if the order is a little bit off. They seem to be updating it as these new fights are getting thrown in. But the first one that I have listed is Drakkar Klose, who's minus 175 versus Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena, plus 155. Real Mike, break down this first fight for me.
Yeah, man. On this one, Luis Pena, super long, has good range, decent all around game. But he's just iffy, man. You know, like after his fluke performance that he had where he lost, this one versus Jakar Close, I really liked Jakar Close. I wanted to bet him. What I don't like is the line where it's at right now. It's a little bit steeper than I'd like it. The opening line was much more, I guess, edible or something that I would want to bite on. But so I want to pick
tortilla. Sorry, that was the last time.
Oh,
it's ridiculous. Yeah, you're losing. You got 36% of the votes.
Doesn't mean I don't eat it.
That's
I'm
a
proud
long
of my
time.
36%.
Hey, but back to business. Jakar Close's wrestling to me is going to be way better. He's shorter, has got the lower hips. He's going to be able to take down Pena, in my opinion. As long as he doesn't get caught in some kind of lanky submission, I believe Jakar Close wins.
Yeah, staying on Jakar Close, 9,000 on DraftKings. Just dovetailing off of you were just saying, important to note that for Pena, his submission is going to be a big way for him to kind of get a victory in this. I don't see that happening anyway, but it's just worth noting that Close has never been submitted in his entire career. Another thing for Pena that you don't want to like is that he's coming in off this short notice, and not to be too disrespectful, I think we can safely say that he's pretty much a clear step down in terms of skill from what Close has been facing recently. You throw in the short notice, and I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. We've already wasted enough on sandwiches, but for DraftKings, $9,000, I don't really like Close that much enough for a finish. There's a lot of guys at the higher end of this that I do like a lot better. So this fight for me is a complete pass. I don't like Pena as an underdog. I don't like Close at a $9,000 price tag on DraftKings. So for me, just complete pass, but Close is the pick.
Sandwiches are made with bread.
Jesus.
Bread's made with wheat flour, so are tortillas. Thank you for
and
the
yeast,
Super Clap
it
award.
rises.
Beep. Thank you for the Super Clap award. I mean, really appreciate that. And then quickly, I'm going to go through these. We got Vince asking what the undercard for Blades versus Lewis is. I'm quick read through those. So yes, the order is different because things have been made, but we're going to hit them all. Raphael Alves versus Pat Sabine. That's a new one. Even got a guy with a faded out picture. That's how great that is. Jared Gordon versus Danny Chavez. Drakkar Close, Luis Pena. That's one we just talked about. Eddie Wineland, John Castaneda, Nate Landwehr, Juliana Rosa, Shayna Dobson, Casey O'Neill. If you can't tell, this is a gigantic fight card. Chase Kelly versus Jamal Emmers, Ayman Zahabi, Draco Rodriguez, Sergey Spivak versus Jared Endera. That's just the prelims, and we'll obviously get to the main card eventually. This is a 15-fight card. I mean, we're saying that now. Guaranteed at least 2 fights are going to fall through. Minimum, I'm going to say over-under at 2, but I'd bet the over on terms of how many people are going to back out of here. So, Yassine hopping in. How you doing, man? From St. Petersburg. That's right. All the way from St. Petersburg. I forgot about that. I say all the way when we're on the internet and everyone is just as close as we are to this screen. Oh, sorry. I didn't give my take.
Yes.
I don't like Luis Pena. That's just flat out there. So I try to make that not be one of the breakdowns for me. It gets difficult because there's fighters that I have issues with, and I do like Drakkar Close here. The minus 175 is ridiculous. And yes, for DraftKings 9,000, sorry, I don't think he's going to hit that. I think it's going to be a relatively close fight that he can clearly win, but it's going to be close enough in spots that minus 175 is going to make me a bit nervous. If this was a pick'em, or I believe the open had him at minus 135, that's about where I had it lined, maybe even a little bit lower. I probably had him about minus 150, but there or higher, I wouldn't touch it. So if it was at that minus 135 that I saw the open, I probably would have played that to win 1 unit, but now we're starting to get a little bit too high where it's putting a lot in there for Drakkar Close, who I think is a better fighter than Luis Pena, but I don't think he's a good fighter. So although I have bad things to say about Luis Pena, so I'm not going to stick with that. So I'm going to move on. God, man, there's another fighter I'm going to say bad things about. I'm trying not to do that anymore. Next up, we have Ayman Zahabi, at least on our order. He's plus 155 versus Draco Rodriguez, minus 175. Mikey Gills, tell me about the spoon-fed brother of Zahabi. I'm already doing it. All right. Against Draco Rodriguez.
All right, so Ayman Zahabi, 7,500 on DraftKings. Draco Rodriguez, 87. In the interest of saving time, I feel like I can put this in the simplest terms. Ayman Zahabi, dedicated martial artist. Like, I'm sure in the gym, he's a guy that all the training partners probably like him. He can probably teach anybody anything in the gym. He'll give anybody in the gym is going to get a tough round from this guy. I just don't think he's a real fighter. Like, you go through his record, I'm looking at it like he's a guy with a famous last name, and he's using it to cash in fighting lower tier guys. The only winning records this guy had faced prior to his UFC debut were a 2-0 and a 3-1 guy. And then you look like in his second UFC fight, he gets knocked out. He takes 2 years off in between fights. He comes back, he loses again. And now he's out for close to 2 years again, coming back in against Draco Rodriguez. You know, Draco, young, talented, well-rounded. Like, you watch his fights, he has like really good hands. He's not going to let you rest for a second when he has you hurt. He follows up with punches. He jumps on submissions. A lot of power, really tight squeeze. When this guy gets you hurt, he's just a problem. So the pick is Rodriguez, $8,700 on DraftKings. Really, really solid mid-range play. I like him. He finishes most of his fights. His style lends to finishes. I like him in the spot. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, if you go and listen to the show, we have like the Ugly Duckling or the Shevchenko Light. We got who else are we missing here? We got another
weird because it's a coach's brother. I'm not sure we have one for that. We can call him like the water.
Well, so that's even worse. So he's not even the good. So there's only one of them, and they're still not a good one. That's how bad it is. So Zahabi, man, like you said, just because his brother's here and his connections, that's the real reason why he's here. He probably a great dude, probably in the gym, probably dominates everyone there, but this is a fight. I really think that Rodriguez is going to absolutely dominate him. His leg kicks are vicious. He doesn't mind standing, and his ground game is good as well. I think that he's just going to absolutely batter Zahabi and just finish him. So I think that's why the line is steamed. I'm Rodriguez all day. I was almost going to bet him.
Yeah, I think finally people are coming to terms with the fact that Ayman Zahabi has looked good because his brother very much carefully curated his road to the UFC, fighting once a year versus guys in a very specific area that he would be able to beat. Although all the skills are there, I don't think he has a killer instinct, but all the skills are there in pieces. So he is good. That's the hard thing. He is good. But he's not UFC caliber. And I know that meaning has gotten really hazy over the last couple of years, but I think he's going to lose to Draco Rodriguez. But again, this is one of those times similar to the Luis Pena fight where I'm so low on one of the fighters on the other side that I try to stay away in terms of a bet because I know for a fact I have personal bias in here. So that's why I have no bet whatsoever, but a pick would be Draco Rodriguez. Thank you, Lynn, for that Creative Genius Award. I'm gonna take that one for myself, just personally. I don't know if that was meant for somebody else, but I'm just gonna take that one. And the amazing awards that Ryan, Mr. Kick Your Bass himself, is throwing out there. And just quickly before we move on, a big thank you. We are at about 9:09 here for live. Obviously, predominantly coming through Periscope, but we are closing on 200 just watching here on Haps. Let's break some records here, man. We got 1900 last time. Let's break that, man. We're almost halfway there. We're barely even not quite halfway into the show. We can do this. We got this, man. Not me. I'm supporting women too. Sorry, it's the Supporting Women Award for $3, and
we got $3 to do that. All right.
Yeah, I'll support women for that. I'll support them for free, but there we go. A little awkward. That's fine. Next up, we have another fight that I'm trying to take my personal bias out of it. I think I've been able to because at one point I've had it for both guys, so it kind of balances itself out. Julian Rosa is -115 versus Nate Landwehr, Nate Train at -105. Real Mike, I know we're on the same side of this one, but talk to me about Rosa versus Landwehr.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a good fight. You know, it's not that I don't like Erosa, but it's just I like Nate a lot more. I think Nate is a little bit underrated. He's got a lot of experience in other organizations that are with some really good strikers. I like his striking a lot. Julian Erosa, he's just iffy, man. I can never trust him. He's been in and out of the UFC, I believe, as well. He just isn't the guy I ever want to bet on. But Nate Landwehr, man, his all-around mixed martial art game is really good, dude. I mean, whether it's stand-up or his wrestling transitions and all that stuff, I really think that he's just far superior, and he's just absolutely going to give Julian Erosa fits here. So this is going to be a Bob and I's bet, and I'll let Bob get into the next portion of it.
Mike Gills, by all means, you can go first, and then I'll hop in and give the particulars for me and Real Mike.
Oh, yeah, sure. So this is the rare tie on DraftKings of price. Both of these guys are coming in at $8,100, which I actually love. We'll get to that in a second. When you look at Juliana Rosa, He had a really bad first 2 attempts in the UFC. He lost to Artem Lobov on tough. That's a tough beat. Then he goes 0-3 in his second run. Now coming after this one, he's coming off a bad case of COVID. Things just aren't really lining up. Going against Nate Landwehr, again, $8,100. Look, Nate Lambert should probably win this fight. He's faced the better guys. He's beaten the better guys. He hasn't lost to the absolute worst guy. My only issue with Lambert is that he fights like he's only allowed to be paid in bonus money sometimes, and that bothers me. But when you look at him fight, like, I don't know, how can I say it? Like, from a standpoint of skill, Lambert should win this fight. It's hard to be super confident just because both their fight styles, but Lambert has the power to keep Rosa from just coming forward and bullying him around the cage. I'm running out of breath from bullying him around the cage, which is kind of what Rosa needs to do to have success. Plus, Rosa, he has a handful of knockout losses in his career, and Lambert does seem to be like that kind of asshole that would brag about giving a guy CTE. And, while that's terrible, I have to respect that when I'm putting money on DraftKings. So for $8,100 on DraftKings, with Landwehr's ability, with his style, I think that's an absolute gift. I would have lined these guys up a little bit differently than that. I would have had Landwehr as a mid-range play. I'm really excited. $8,100. I love him at that price.
Let's go.
Quick pause. I'll give the particulars on that. We got Pablo in the chat from the Haps team himself. How are you doing? Got Michael Bathurst showing in from Toronto. Thank you for hopping in. Thank you for the support. And he says he loves our show. Well, check out his show here on Haps. He does great stuff as well. Super entertaining. Thank you for the award, Mel M. Very much appreciate it. And I know I say that quickly and frequently, but that's just because you guys are showing so much support. Even Pablo himself giving us an appreciation words. Well, you know what? We appreciate you too. And Jackie Girl for throwing the Stay Safe Award. We repeat it because it's true. And just because I say it a lot of times doesn't mean it loses its meaning. It's just that you guys are being so generous that's why it keeps coming out more and more. But specifically to the Julian Erosa over Nate Landwehr fight, I don't think Julian Erosa does well fighting backwards, and that's one thing he has to do against Nate Landwehr, who will perpetually go forward. He does leave his chin up a little bit and can take something. He leaves himself open at times to take shots. He has a good chin, so he should be able to handle the majority of it, and he does throw quite. I think Mike Gills put it very well, where he's always fighting like he's going for performance of the night bonus,
Yes.
And that will bite him. I don't think it will here because I don't think that Erosa has the skills to do that. The hard thing about Erosa is he has such crazy flashes of brilliance that just come out of nowhere. Like he performs higher than he should at times and way lower than he should at times. He's all over the place. He's a roller coaster, and I don't think this is one I'm fumbling over my words. Sorry. Very, very long day in the freezing cold. Erosa has the skill to beat Landwehr. I'm going to say 3 out of 10 times. And it's going to look fantastic when he does. But the vast majority of the time, Nate Landwehr is just going to take it to him. And I actually think he has a good chance for a finish over the course of 2 rounds, just putting tons of volume on him and getting a late second or early third round finish. And yes, that's part of the reason this is our bet, because anytime you have the fact that you think the guy is A, the better fighter, and B, has a high probability of getting a finish, and it's at even money, I'm sorry, we got to go with that. And since this is similar to last week, where both me and Real Mike both like it, that's what it takes for us to have a to win 2-unit bet. And he's minus 105 now, so that'd be 2.1 units to win you guys 2 on our bet there on Nate Landwehr. Quick pause, quick hello, and thank you. We got Randy Horton in here. Check out his show here on Haps and everything else. He has helped us get to a new level in terms of viewership, what with our special guest show that he hopped on, and then everything past that point, it's just kind of been snowballing ever since then, and why I have confidence that we could break our record tonight. Let's get after it. Moving on to a amazing heavyweight fight for a couple reasons. One, you got the aged veteran, but is just holding on to it somehow begrudgingly. I feel like he'd still be winning if he had his flowing locks. That's just legit. Like way back when, in like 2006, when they just shook in the air. It was wonderful. Andrei Arlovsky plus 210 versus Tom Aspinall minus 250, who is that new, young, hungry heavyweight that I'm excited to see where he goes. And I'm going to go to Mike Gills first in this one because I know he has a high ceiling for Tom Aspinall.
Yes, we're going to start off with Andrei Arlovsky at 7,000 on DraftKings, Tom Aspinall at 9,200. Full disclosure to you guys, I did not watch any fight tape leading up to this. Didn't feel it was necessary. I did, however, I did, however, watch the movie Logan, and I was able to get some great insight for this. In one corner, we have the old, tired, weathered, beat-up Logan who can still win fights against the right opponents. On the other side, we have the younger clone. We have the X-24, as he's known in the movie. He's bigger, stronger, faster, more ferocious, better than everything Wolverine is at everything he's ever done. Old man Logan's adamantium chin is gone. It's basically just aluminum foil at this point. His claws don't extend like they used to. He's seemingly just hanging around, trying to get enough money so that he can retire on a boat. And I respect that. I do. But young clone Logan doesn't want a boat. Young clone Logan is a killing machine whose sole focus is to destroy whatever is in front of him. Arlovsky has been getting his beak folded sideways like Daffy Duck since the early 2000s. It's both an incredible achievement and an indictment on the heavyweight division that Arlovsky is still active. But the future is now. The next generation is here, and it's about to land on Arlovsky's face. Tom Aspinall, pro boxer. We used to talk about what Arlovsky would do as a boxer. Aspinall just went ahead and did it. Training partner of Tyson Fury, black belt on the ground in BJJ, future title contender who's going to be a nightmare for anybody going forward. There is no such thing as a lock in MMA, but at $9,200 on DraftKings, Tom Aspinall is as close as you can get to it. Put him in your lineup and just don't even argue. Do it.
Yeah, every single week we kind of have a sad fight of the show, and this is kind of one of them. Tom Aspinall is just an absolute savage. It's not that Arlovsky wasn't; it's just he isn't anymore. And Tom Aspinall is. He's just big, young, strong, BJJ black belt, like Mikey said. Loves to stand, long reach. Hasn't had his nose folded back at all. Hasn't been in all those wars. Hasn't had the CTE that's gone on. Normally, I like to pick the OG, but this is not the spot, man. This is a spot where they're feeding an old lion to a hungry monster, and that monster is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is going to absolutely destroy Andrei Arlovsky. Going to be a finish real easy.
Sorry, just re-reminding in my head for all of those of you who are curious, the movie Logan is based off the comic series Old Man Logan. Yes. Where Wolverine is aged. It's a limited series. He's on a farm. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic type deal, but it's enjoyable. I liked it. Yes, I know it got super geeky. There's thousands of comics in the basement that would attest to that, and this is why I'm not a stick and ball sports fan. But these times we got people punching each other in the face. It's just better. It's just better that way. No, and we got Cage My IQ from Twitter, something the Twitter sign says that's from Periscope. He said, surprised Aspinall is the favorite with the few fights in the UFC he has had, but he has 2 first-round stoppages. The biggest thing there is he is a finisher and has shown that he can connect in a major way and also has the ground game to back it up to keep him safe. And Arlovsky's chin isn't what it once was, although he has had that veteran savvy where he is willing to push it to the decision. And I wanted to bring that up actually, because if you want to take any type of a stab on Arlovsky, if he's going to win, it's going to be decision, in my opinion. And that gets you plus 335 if you want a little bit more. And then Mike Gills, I want to quick ask you. Yes. So I know you're super high on Aspinall. Would you say that the utter vast majority of his victories in this fight is going to be inside the distance, or?
Oh, 100% inside the distance. Arlovsky, he's been doing this thing later on in his career. There's other fighters as they get older, they start trying to play it smarter, like an Overeem type thing. But he still has the same exact problem, is that if you corner him against the cage, one thing I guess you could look back to like the Brett Rogers fight is when you first really start to notice that Arlovsky cannot move backwards. He moves in a straight line, leaves his chin hanging right out there. And it's never really changed since then. And Tom Aspinall has the speed and the power. He's going to come in and clip him. I don't see this going into the second round.
The reason I wanted to bring that up is because if you like Aspinall and you're very confident in Aspinall, and I would agree, likely he's going to get the finish. So it's either going to be Andrei Arlovsky decision or Aspinall inside the distance specifically. Don't even go to a TKO because you're not getting much more value on that. And yes, it is still favorite odds, but you can get them at minus 120 if you're going for inside the distance, as opposed to the minus 240 to pay for them completely full stop there. So I said minus 240. The odds have updated on one, but the notes are different. Either way, if you're very confident you get the finish, go team. And this is another reason that I think my order is different, judging by the next fight, because I can only imagine the Andrei Arlovsky Aspinall fight is higher up on the card. But with all the add-ons, things get jumped around quite a bit. So we're going to go from that fight, which I think is a phenomenal fight, to another fight, which we have already broken down before. And I almost don't feel like doing it again, but I guess we have to. Sergey Spivak is minus 245 versus Jared Bandera plus 205. Real Mike, talk to me about these heavyweights.
You know, man, I'm not a big fan of heavyweights. You know, it's very rare where I want to bet him or even get into it. Especially, you know, Sergey Spivak. You know, he's very sloppy and weird and just awkward, man. He's not like a savage in any sense. He's not really good in one particular realm of MMA, but he's just like kind of just good and big. You know, like the negative 245 to me is just a lot, man. I would never pay that for him, you know? And just so for me, the money on Jared Bandera as the underdog, especially, you know, when these big boys hit each other, it just takes one hit in the back of the head or top of the temple. It changes everything. So if it was me, I'd be putting in Bandera at that dog money, but I wouldn't touch this fight. I don't touch heavyweight fights. They're just terrible to me.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm a huge fan of fun, and that's pretty much what heavyweight is. It's just you never know what's going to happen. Fights end in like 3 seconds. I love it. But no, this is actually a pretty interesting matchup here. Like, you know, Bandera has a style. Like, he can be a real problem for Spivak if he's allowed to stay at range. Like, he's taller, he's longer. He has like really good kicks, and he can soften up Spivak if he's in a position where he's forced to strike from range. Like Bandera, he's got that size and power, put anybody out. But the one thing about him that makes him special, especially against Sergey Spivak, is he also has solid grappling. Like, he has a background in wrestling. He's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And you watch him whenever he gets on top of opponents, even on the local scene. I understand the talent's different. But once he gets you down there, this guy, long and powerful, he has really good ground and pound. Like, you know, Spivak, he's not a scrub. He can fight at range too on the feet. He doesn't even need to. He likes to get in close. He pushes his opponents against cage. He likes to fight dirty. He can get on top. You do the same thing I just talked about with Bandera, but the difference is he's also really good off his back. As a straight pick'em, like, I guess just based off experience, I would have to take Spivak based on his quality of competition. Like, I've seen him in there. I've seen him do it. But just talking DraftKings, Bandera is a solid dog play. He's only $7,100. He's legitimately dangerous in multiple areas. And, like, I love him at this. Like, I would recommend Bandera at 71 way more than I would recommend Spivak at 91. So if as far as dogs go, I love Bandera, and I'm going to play him this weekend at 71 in a lot of different lineups.
Yeah, and if we both agree, that's some trouble on underdog.
Sorry, since you said that he's no scrub, I've just been singing that song in my head for the last 2 minutes.
Sorry.
I don't want no scrubs.
The
Scrubs
TLC.
that can't get no love from me.
Hang up the passenger side of his best friend's ride. Try
Trying
to holler at me.
All right, folks. All right.
Sorry. So I zoned out on that one. So I blacked out for a minute. Actually, I got some news quick to break on the show for all those of you now in Haps watching live, or anyone on any other device that wants to hop in on Haps. Big thank you, major thank you to Pablo and the whole Haps team. Our show is now open officially to accepting sponsorships of this show. So viewers can now sponsor our show. $5, $10, $20. That all goes monthly. Thank you so much for Ryan Richardson, our man, throwing in a $4 monthly subscription on there. That's amazing. And thank you, Pablo, for the Mic Drop Award thrown on there. So if anyone listening to this, all 1,000 of you, although it's pretty much split right now between Periscope and here on Haps, you can now sponsor the show on a monthly basis. And we would appreciate that. Ooh, got the Mic Drop for the sing. I appreciate that. We would say, hey, throw a couple more of those awards in. We'll throw in more songs.
Now we don't sell sandwiches anymore.
I don't have to argue sandwiches anymore. We can afford bread for those sandwiches. Doesn't have to go further. In terms of this fight, I say it probably once a show, if not last week. I said it like 4 times in the show, but it kind of held true. Is low-level heavyweight fights. What do I say about low-level heavyweight fights or low-level WMA fights? Is you go with the dog if there's any value. This plus 205. You would end up ahead if you go there for the most part. And Bandera has a path to victory, so you might as well throw a little on him if you're confident. Or DraftKings, I can really understand in this matchup him making, because if he gets a finish, he's going to more than make up for his salary. So by all means, yes, TLC is the key. Absolutely. Michael Bauer. I'm 100% with you on that one. We'll keep going with that no matter what. So my pick here is Bandera, because just based off that, I've been kind of keeping track of it, and honestly, it builds up over time. And you can't necessarily count that, because even from the previous fight, because even though Andrei Arlovsky is on his way down and Tom Aspinall is on his way up, I would consider those guys more that next tier of heavyweights, although obviously the dog can still happen. But here in this one, Jared Bandera at the plus 205, Go team. Next up, we have someone that everyone's getting a little bit high on, Jamal Emmers, but it's Chaz Skelly, plus 200 versus Jamal Emmers, minus 240. Mike Gills, talk to me about this fight.
All right, Chaz Skelly coming in at 7,400 on DraftKings. Jamal Emmers coming in at 8,800. Right away, I don't think this fight's going to be particularly close. Jamal Emmers, he's been in there against a ton of tough guys. He's looked really good. I have it out of order, but we're going to talk about we're going to talk about like Giga Chikadze later with a different fight, but we'll get to that later. We're starting to see how dangerous Emmers' style can be. We saw him against Chikadze and how good he looked against him. When you go against Skelly, like he's the type of guy like he kind of needs to have a grappling advantage to have success. Like he's got really solid grappling once it hits the mat, but it's a matter really of whether or not he can get it there. When you talk about Emmers, like he's got really solid wrestling, particularly defensive wrestling, and it's going to be tough for Skelly to get this fight to the ground where he wants it. And if you can't get it down there, that's advantage Emmers all day, but it's on the feet with this fight where the difference is. That's not really up for debate. Emmers is the cleaner striking, and that's where he's going to win this fight. And for $8,800, I see him as a really good mid-range play. You could do a lot worse on this card. There's guys above him for several $100s more that I don't recommend. I would rather play Emmers above, like we were just talking about Spivak on the last one. I'd rather play Emmers over him. So, yeah, just straight away, I don't recommend Skelly as an underdog. I'm all in on Emmers.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty much going to echo the same. Jamal Emmers, I just think has got a higher ceiling. He hasn't peaked at all. He's just continuously learning. He's got a really good ground game, really good stand-up. Chaz Skelly, he's been here. He's been in a few wars, but he's an aged old dog. He hasn't got the same pep in him. I believe he also had COVID, and he's still kind of recovering from that incident that he had with lungs-wise. So he's still not getting the best breathing. So Emmers here, I just believe all day long is just absolutely going to dominate Chaz Skelly. Like Mikey said, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, Chaz Skelly to me is in big trouble. So either Emmers finishes him, or it's going to be a decision victory from Emmers. But I just got Emmers all day.
For me, the time off for Skelly is I just can't. I can't. If this was a matchup closer to a time that he's fought, I might want to play the dog because I know Skelly just has this weird chances of just locking in a sub. He's great. He's a great finisher once he locks it in. And I think Jamal Emmers can be tested still. He's not quite to the fighter he's going to be, even though he's already, I think, 31. So he's already kind of reaching full maturation. But Chaz Skelly hasn't fought we're coming on 2 years now. It's a rough scenario. He's a guy that needs to fight more frequently, and I wish he did. He's super entertaining, but no, I'm with Emmers here. The only way I might take a shot on Skelly is by sub. Actually, I'm going to get those odds for you guys if they have that one available, because I don't think Skelly's going to win the decision. That's not a thing that's going to happen. Skelly inside the distance is plus 470, and then specifically him by submission. I just saw that one a second ago. Skelly. Oh, I'm going to move on from here because it's apparently not finding it immediately. When I don't find it immediately, I might as well just move on. There it is, plus 640. So either plus 350 or plus 640 if you get the feeling that I would rather do that than just him straight, because it's going to be in the distance if he's going to pull it off. He's going to sneak something, whether it's a powerful shot or a submission. So that's just what it's at. We're trying to move on because obviously it's a long fight card and we're still trying to stay somewhat close to an hour, even when we have 10-minute debates on sandwiches. But yeah, it's all good. To the 1,100 people of you hopping in here. We had a few people. Oh, sorry, I forgot our mantra here. Santiago Ponzinibbio. Okay, we're going to Eddie Wineland, the first ever WEC bantamweight champion. If you don't know what the WEC is, that's where a lot of your favorite lower weight class men came from about a decade ago at this point. He's plus 105 against John Castaneda, minus 125. Real Mike, talk to me about the man that was a champion and now has a silly mustache.
Yeah, on this fight, Eddie Wineland, OG, been around the game for a long time, been in a ton of wars. he has really good stand up and good movement. The problem with him that I've never liked is when he got his jaw broken like 6-7 years ago. Ever since that day, it's just been a little iffy, wondering if it's going to withstand the cracks from the other contestants in the octagon. So that's the only iffy feeling I have on it. But John Castaneda, he does not have the experience, not near the experience that Eddie Wineland has. Eddie Wineland isn't so deteriorated where he could, where this newcomer should be able to come in here and teach this old dog a lesson. So I just really feel like Eddie Wineland, this is his fight to win. I thought about even betting it, but he doesn't have enough to give me that. But Eddie Wineland, he should roll here. He's the OG. He's got more experience. He's got more to offer, in my opinion. But I'm just going to stay away from this bet.
Yeah, I don't have a really strong lean on this either. Like Eddie Wineland 7,900, Castaneda at 8,300 on DraftKings. Like with Wineland, like I don't believe that like getting knocked out by O'Malley is a reason to think that your career's over, as much as like being a 36-year-old. Let's talk about the wars that you just talked about that he was in. Being 36 years old with that level of damage in those later weight classes, like that to me is a sign that your career is kind of winding down. And it's just like you look at Eddie Wineland's style, like great striker, always has been, but he does have that negative. Like he is like the final boss of like all like the let me bang bros. Like shouldn't have said bang bros. Sorry. But like, no, he's like very hittable. He's always had that like hands down reaction based striking where, he tries to time that opening, and when it works, it's great. And when it doesn't, like, that's how you get 14 losses on your record. Like his style requires timing and athleticism for those things to work in perfect concert together. And as you get older, they both fall off at the same time. And what we're seeing now is what we saw against O'Malley, is just that slower compromised version. So my pick's Castaneda in this fight. It's just a bit more about where I like him on DraftKings, which isn't very much. So I don't really recommend anybody in this fight. Like, a mid-range play at 8,300 for a guy that I'm not really sold on at all? Like Wineland could easily come back and win this fight. It's just, he's the older guy. I'm going to roll Castaneda here. I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I'm sorry, but Castaneda pick. Don't recommend him for DraftKings.
Picking Eddie Wineland, but that's 100% a heart play completely. He is a full-time firefighter, trains part-time fighter. That's why he's been fighting about once a year, but he has always come to the Chicagoland. He's a firefighter just over the state border between Illinois and Indiana, just into Indiana. He had done a lot of traveling into the Chicagoland area to do a lot of training, did a lot of stuff with the current cousins, because they're not brothers, back in the day, and a few of those other guys that were big into the WEC and a couple of stuff in this area. Always loved his style, always been a big supporter of his. And when he gets, I've been in the arena in Chicago when he's gotten a come from behind the knockout, when he's decided not to wrap his hands like he never does and just throw a strike. So, I mean, his style doesn't work. Like you talk about the timing of the shots, he's not as fast as he once was, but it lands great. This is one of the ones that if he was plus 200 because he was getting that much disrespect, I'd throw a little bit on it, because he's going to fight for your money. He's absolutely going to fight for your money, but he also might get laid out completely. Plus 105, I won't take it there. The pick is Wineland. I would need to be much higher if it was going to be a bet. Next up, the winner of the biggest upset last year, which is just ridiculous, Shayna Dobson plus 125 here versus Casey O'Neill minus 145. Mikey Gills, give me some.
Yeah, Shayna Dobson 7,700, and the upset aside, she's not very good, is she? No, just no. She lost 3 of her last 4, 2 and 3 altogether after coming into the UFC, and she entered the UFC as a 2-1 pro. I mean, what's going on here? Coming up against Casey O'Neill, 8,500 on DraftKings, undefeated as a pro, making her UFC debut. But it's like, what are we doing here? It's 4-4 versus 5-0 in the UFC. I looked into it. I have a little bit of a theory about this fight. I think the UFC sees something in O'Neill, and they're setting her up for a win here. Hear me out. Dobson loses 3 straight in the UFC. Instead of cutting her, they decide to put Dobson on Agapova's highlight reel. But no, she outlasts, and after taking an early beating, she survives, pulls off the miracle. But Dobson still sucks. She's not that good. The UFC knows this. So enter Casey O'Neill. Undefeated, 5-0 fighter, decent amateur career, finishes her amateur career with 5 straight wins. It's just another possible door to that Australian market. We know the UFC loves their foreign market fighters. So this fight screams setup to me. I'm going to pick Casey O'Neill, 8,500 though. I have to see it from her first. Mid-range, this is a pass for me. Play it if you feel comfortable with the conspiracy theory, but I'm going to stay away from it.
Yeah. If you listen to the podcast, this is my absolute favorite. It's just low class MMA from women. So this is just another one of those. This is gross, you know. Dobson got so lucky with Agapogov, whatever you say, however you say it. I wasn't really fond of her in the general. Agapogov when Dobson was fighting her, and then she went out and finished her with an upset, and then got all this hype. But on with this one, O'Neal, she comes out of Tiger Muay Thai, I believe, but because of COVID, she's now at Extreme Couture working on her wrestling. Also, she has the benefits of then going to Vegas or to the PI down in Vegas and getting help from them. I don't think they're doing that for Dobson. I just really don't think so. I think that Dobson got lucky. I think that good for her. But in this situation, I really feel like Mikey hit it on the dot that they're setting O'Neal up for a win here, just like they thought they were setting Dobson up for a loss last time. So I really think that O'Neal is the play here, and that she's more superior in every way.
Blindly bet the dogs in lower class female MMA. Moving on, Jared Gordon plus 125. Yeah, that's all I got on it. I'm sorry. It's literally all I got. This has to be the wrong order. I do not understand how this is ahead of other fights. I'm very much pro top tier female MMA. It's awesome. This is not that. That's why I'm moving on. Jared Gordon plus 125 versus Danny Chavez minus 145. Real Mike, talk to me about Jared Gordon versus Chavez.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't have a lot of like for Jared Gordon, so I don't know if it's just pure hatred for him and his drug addict past or whatever it may be. So I'm trying just to not, put my emotions into it. But I think that Jared Gordon, he's just not all there mentally. Anyone that that's no disrespect to people who get into drugs and then come back through it and all that, but most of the people who get on drugs don't. I just don't think they're as strong as normal people, and people like Gordon, they have those mental problems, and they stay with them forever. Chavez, he's pretty mean dude. Not the type of guy that you want to stand there and mentally break. So I'm gonna go with Chavez on this one. I just feel like he's superior. The only thing I am worried about is that Gordon has faced some really high competition. That could have, he could have learned a lot, and then it could have molded him a little bit. But I would go with Chavez here.
Yeah, just start off with Gordon here, 7,800 on DraftKings, Chavez 84. I've broken down Danny Chavez on the very first episode I ever did here, and he's actually my first regret. Like, he's a guy that I've seen fight live in Baltimore. I've seen him, like, I didn't pull the trigger on him as an underdog, even though I did like what I saw from him. Like, nasty kicking game. I think he's a striking coach on MMA Masters. He made his debut on short notice, which that's the reason that I held back from picking him last time. I just didn't trust that he'd be ready to go for a full 3 rounds, but he showed up and he showed out. So good on him. Like, you watch him fight, he's a really good striker. He has really solid kicks, both to the leg and head. He'll set you up. He keeps you guessing. But the problem in this fight is that he's running into Jared Gordon. And with Gordon's ability to take you down, it's not that Chavez is necessarily bad on the ground, but when you watch him fight, that's not his preferred spot. So despite that, I'm still going to roll with Chavez in this. Like, he's a decision-heavy striker, so I'm not really going to recommend him as a DraftKings play. There's a few other people around that price range that I trust a little more, thinking like Chris Dawkins or, we talked about Castaneda already, but I do like Chavez for the win, though. So Chavez is the pick, not the best recommend on DraftKings.
Honestly, I don't have a super lean either way on this one. If I would go too much, echoing most of both your guys' sentiments. I lean the underdog just because I think I would see this much more as a pick'em. So strictly based off the odds, the plus 125 on Jared Gordon has me thinking him. And if he goes higher, probably a for sure. Not super confident. Obviously, that's why I'm somewhat rambling with not tons of info, because I don't have a hard lean on this one, and that one happens. I don't necessarily see how it lines up, but that's why I tend to lean the underdog in this spot. Next one, last minute add on. Probably just going to do a quick pick on this one for me. So you guys, whether you want to include it on DraftKings or not, main deal, that's up to you. Same thing where I'm like, if you want to do a quick pick, totally fine. Raphael Alves minus 190 versus Pat Sabine. That sounds like a delicious drink. Plus 165. Mikey Gill's thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, so no prices available for either of these guys yet, but I did watch a few of these guys' fights this week. Alves definitely, he seems like he's in that groove right now. He had those early career losses, particularly by submission, but he's been training on MMA Masters, getting his house in order. Doesn't seem to be an issue for him anymore. Sabatini, his game plan isn't a secret. He's going to try to get in. He's going to get this fight down on the ground. I just think Sabatini, he's going to be in trouble when he gets in close for this fight, trying to get it where he wants it. And even if he does manage to get this fight to the ground, Alves is now a black belt himself. I think he can stay out of trouble. Alves' game plan is completely different. He's going to try to get in close, but when he does, he's going to be thrown with a lot of power, and he can literally hit you with anything from every direction. In this last 5-fight run, he's beaten a couple of really solid grapplers as well, even submitted one of them. So my pick in this fight's Alves. I don't know if I like him for a finish, but I do think he's seasoned enough. He's going to stay away from the submissions. Sabatini, on the other hand, talking about underdogs, if he does win this fight, it is going to be by submission. That's pretty much his only route, all he really likes to do. Could be something to look out for on DraftKings, but as of right now, again, no price for either guy. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, on this one, I'm pretty much Alves is just a little bit better to me, with whether it's his BJJ game and his stand-up game. So I really think that he's going to be able to enforce his game while Alves is trying to, or Sabatini is trying to take him down and impose his game. I think he's going to get caught with something. And even if Alves gets taken down, like Mikey said, he's a BJJ black belt, can handle his own and get back up to the striking realm, which is if he wants to do whatever he wants to do, should be Alves.
I'm going to blindly pick the Sabbath Martini at plus 165 because his name is the Sabbath Martini.
If it was a dirty martini, I'd be all over it.
It's not dirty on the Sabbath. Would you pay attention? Sorry. Moving on to a fight that we've broken down before. This seems to be happening more and more with guys falling out or whatever. They just keep rebooking fights. So I'm going to try to get the same fervor. I don't think I'll have it, but the same fervor for this one the second time around. But Nasruddin Imavov is plus 105. That's the odds is what makes me sad. Versus Phil Hawes, minus 125. Real Mike Imavov versus Hawes.
Yeah. Last time they were supposed to fight, we were going to pick Imamov as a bet, but we were at plus money, and so this time it came around. He's now, I believe, favored or at negative, and so it's not the same feeling. I really think that Imamov has the better all-around mixed martial arts game, but Phil Hawes does have some athleticism and does have some random power. So you guys definitely gonna have to be weary when he's going in for takedowns. If he's going in there, just with no respect. Hawes can catch him and can sleep him, can do some things to him because he's athletic and long. But I really believe that Imamov's grinding game against the cage should be able to smother Hawes and take away any of the athleticism. But that's just me, Imamov.
All right, yeah, start off. Imhoff 8,000, Phil Hawes 8,200. I've learned my lesson about switching picks after COVID cancellations. So I'm going to right off the bat, I still like Phil Hawes in this fight. Crazy good wrestling pedigree, crazy power in his hands, crazy speed. He's just in an absolute groove right now. Athletic prime. He's finished 5 straight fights in the first round, and I just don't think Imavov's going to be the guy to stop him. Imavov, not the fastest guy out there. He does have good movement. He can get in and out, but it's much slower than Hawes. Like, he doesn't have the best defense on the feet. You can get in, you can touch him up, and we've seen when he gets hurt, his go-to tries to shoot in on people, and against Hawes, you're talking about pushing him against the cage. I just don't see that happening. Hawes, JUCO national champ. Perhaps you've heard the obvious. He's trained with John Jones. I think we actually have to say that. We're required by contract to do it. But anyway, that's not important. Hawes, for this fight, 8,200. I do like him for a finish. I like him as a DraftKings play. One thing I also wanted to add, when they announced this fight the first time around, I think Hawes was actually a little more expensive, if I remember correctly. I don't have the prices in front of me, but I want to say he was like an 8,700 on DraftKings. Nothing's changed for me except the price tag, and I'll take it.
Yeah, biggest issue for me, and that's why I was a little bit sad going into it for a little bit, is I really liked Imavov because when we broke down this fight initially, I want to say he was like plus 140, like really high, and he's someone that's going to fight for a finish, and I like him better, not in terms of wrestling on the ground, but in terms of grappling positions and the chance to get a submission at some point, and he can throw with some power, as much as obviously he's not as quick, and he throws in combination, which I love. The plus 105 has me away. My pick is going to be Imavov, but at those odds, not a bet for me as of yet. Big thank you to MMAforMoney Prime himself for that spot-on award. I apologize for the dip in energy. Been a long day trying to move on. I'm not even talking as fast as I normally did. I understand and appreciate that. Next up, Derrick Minor. he's still in the UFC and he's plus
Yes.
160 versus Charlie. That is a fact. That is a categorical fact. He is still in the UFC versus Charles Rosa minus 25, who is in fact also still in the UFC. After major back issues and bouncing back and so on and so forth. Mikey Gill's Minor versus Rosa.
Yeah, Bob, you're sounding a little tuckered out right now. Maybe just grab a blanket.
It's real. It's hitting real.
You know, the memes is coming.
I'm on hour 37 right now. Let's go. Anyway, Derrick Minor, 7,400. Charlie Rosa, 88. Right away, Derrick Minor, I hate you. Like, Minor just pulled off a quick sub against TJ Laramie, ruining a lot of slates, mine in particular. Laramie is one of the biggest favorites on that card. It wasn't too long ago. Minor guillotined him almost immediately. I don't forgive, nor do I forget. On the other side, Charlie Rosa, alternating wins and losses ever since he joined the UFC back in 2014. That's actually pretty impressive. I don't know. Like, this is one of those fights. Charlie Rosa, probably the more well-rounded, overall skilled fighter of the two. He's been tested against the way better fighters, like particularly when it comes to grapplers. I know he survived a lot of bad positions when he fought Bryce Mitchell. He should win this fight. But, man, Derrick Minor, he's one of those guys. He's like a walking guillotine choke who's just an inch of space away at any time from winning a fight. Like, I would say he's the Kevin Kroom of this card. Longtime listeners, you might get that joke. Yeah. But I can't even call him Kevin Kroom because he's actually lost to Kevin Kroom. So
Deep cut.
I respect the skill level. Like, Charlie Rosa's the pick. 8,800. I'm not touching it. I've been screwed over by these all or nothing submission guys. And I'm not doing it. I'm staying away. I wouldn't feel good about having like either of these guys in my lineup, but Derrick Minor, I hate you. Based on opportunistic grappling, I would sooner play him at 7,400. And I think I'm going to, honestly, because you screw me over that bad. I have to respect you. Derrick Minor, 7,400. I recommend him.
Yeah, this is a weird one, man. Charles Rosa is kind of like Thomas Almeida. Just, I mean, it kind of had some potential and then just totally deflated. And so I never know quite what I'm gonna get with him, you know. And so I think that Charles Rosa should win this. He's got more experience. You think he's got better overall game with longer reach and all. But Derrick Minor is a feisty little, almost Clay Guido dude. He's going to come in there. He's going to fight for 3 rounds, gritty and grindy. And, you know, Charles Rosa he doesn't look like that type of guy who wants to fox, you know, in an alley in a fight. You know, he happens to do well in a gym setting and getting decent in the octagon. But I really don't think he's that type of guy who wants to take damage. I think Minor can grind a 3-round ugly decision. And so I think Mikey's spot on that Minor's a spot to play on DK all the way.
Yeah.
In terms of DK, I totally get it. I do think the odds on here are a bit skewed, mainly because of how bad Charles Rosa looked against Bryce Mitchell, who I do truly think is, I think, very high of him. So the fact that he got utterly schooled is not completely out of the question. I think if that fight hadn't happened and this fight got set up before that, you would see Charles Rosa at a minimum minus 250 open, if not breaking up over minus 300 at this point. Now, is that deserved? Probably not, but that's where it would have been. And he could have very well been someone that blew up a lot of parlays going forward. I don't know, Rosa's age, and he is going downhill fast. He had a long time off having to do with injury. Never thought he was going to be fighting again. Now he's fighting and didn't look great his last time out. Is Derrick Minor the guy? I don't know. I don't truly think that Derrick Minor belongs in the UFC, but I guess if he beats Rosa, he's gonna. So I guess go with the dog because he's at plus 160 here. That's pretty big. And Rosa is for sure on the downslide of his career and getting up there in age. Moving on. This fight I'm actually pretty pumped about. I know for sure Mike Gills is pumped about, and I would assume real Mike is. The matchup itself is really entertaining for the show and just in general. The boa constrictor Alexei Olenek plus 140 versus Chris Daukaus minus 160. Real Mike, I'm giving it to you first. Who do you like in the boa constrictor versus the elder Daukaus?
Oh, I'm taking the pretty Dockling all day. You know, he is just younger, stronger, more athletic. I mean, I don't know what else you could say about the guy. He's just a strapping young lad. I think that he's going to go in there. He's just going to absolutely, you know, devastate the old man Olenek. Olenek, you know, he's gotten here a couple little boa constrictor chokes or whatever, his little Ezekiel choke on the ground and getting lucky here and there, but that doesn't fly for very long. I really believe that they're setting up Daukaus to just rise and shine and be the beautiful swan that he was meant to be. I think the doc is going to come in here and absolutely just devastate the old man. Old man's not going to understand what the fuck hit him when the long legs come and break his body. If he throws a front kick at that old man's chest, telling you he's going to fucking concave it all day. Docus, play it.
Let's go. I have a concave chest. I appreciate that reference. Look, guys, if you think I'm going to abandon my man, my dude, my first ever pick as a member of the MMA for Money team, hell, I wasn't even a member yet. I was guest hosting. That's how far me and Chris Dawkins go back. Like that. But look, this isn't just about loyalty. Chris Dawkins, not a bad heavyweight. At least not anymore. He's leaned out. Very fast for a heavyweight, really solid hands. He's creative, adapts on the fly. He will switch to it from an overhand right to a flying knee in real time. Not just that, though. He's also a black belt. He's not a fish out of water on the ground. He's the more athletic fighter. He's 12 years younger. By far the overall better striker. Striker? What did that? Strike? That's not even a word. Striker. But talking about for DraftKings, $8,600, perfect mid-range price. My man is a Philadelphia cop. Defund the police all you want because my dude's bringing home a bonus. Let's fucking go, Chris Dawkins.
I was actually going to echo a majority of these sentiments. The only thing that makes me nervous is I heard an interview with Chris Dawkins saying that he is completely comfortable going to the ground with Alexei Olenek and would relish the opportunity to show off his jiu-jitsu skills against Alexei Olenek. That's the only thing you don't have to do, man.
The red herring.
That's his path to victory. It is literally his path. It is not one of his paths. It is his path to victory. He doesn't have other ones. That is the one. So it makes me nervous going there and putting money on Dawkins. But since I'm not in this spot, I could pick Dawkins because I do think he is going to win. But he better not try to mess with the boa constrictor because I don't know if Dawkins gets Ezekiel choked. I mean, we're gonna have to fire Mikey Gills from the show, and no one wants that. So, moving on
I'm gonna commit Harry Carey if he does.
To the co-main event. Yes, this is a co-main event. This seems to be a recurring issue that we're having. So we were hoping this gets rectified.
That's so gross.
At least one of them. Hey, at least one of the people in this co-main event was in a main event at one point. Caitlin Vieira minus 270 versus Yana Kunitskaya. Nailed it. Plus 230. Mikey Gills, the former title challenger, Kunitskaya, versus a bigger, stronger lady that's probably going to beat her. Go.
Caitlin Vieira, 9,300. Yana Kunitskaya, 6,900. And I'm not going to say it. Someone said something on Twitter about Yana Kunitskaya, and it made me laugh so hard, but it's really mean. And I won't say it here. I'll retweet it later. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this fight. Like, it should be pretty one-sided. Like this is a get-ready fight if there ever was one. Like, Kellen's right on the fringe of becoming that top 5. If she gets a win here, the UFC gets to put a number next to her name. Looks great on TV. Everyone's happy. As for the fight, Vieira, black belt on the ground, powerful hands, legit wrestling, crazy good top game. Her opponent, Kunitskaya, just can't stop anyone from taking her down. She's been pounded out twice in her last 5 fights. All 5 of her losses have been to superior grapplers stopping her on the ground. The UFC knows this. Vieira knows this. I know this. And now you know this. So as for DraftKings, at the top of this card, I like both fighters above and below her price. Like, I'd recommend Blades and Aspinall more for the money. But if you have the available budget, this is basically as lock as a lock gets. But again, the guys above and below her, I think, have higher ceilings for points. But Vieira, solid pick.
And, it's just disgusting that a $1 billion corporation or $100 million corporation. This is the bullshit we get. This is the co-main event, folks. This is what you guys get. We get
everybody wants to fight during COVID times.
We get Yana Kunitskaya, who looks like something that should be out of like a comic book of a fighting girl that wasn't very good. And then we got Caitlin Vieira, who's flat-footed, strikes very like archaic and like a caveman, a woman. And she got good ground, a better lady, cave woman, or whatever. We don't even, who knows these days. So the fact is that Caitlin Vieira definitely got a way better ground game. Yana Kunitskaya is out of her realm when it comes to that. I don't trust Caitlin Vieira necessarily her stand-up, but I mean, she's going to be able to get Yana Kunitskaya down. Yana Kunitskaya loves to be taken down and played with. So I think that Vieira is going to take her down the ground, smash her into pieces, and end this fight. It's quite easy. So Vieira to win.
Sorry, I'm laughing because literally right when you said all that stuff, we got Prime in the chat throwing in another supporting woman.
Awesome. That's how we do it.
Sorry. Trying to
Sponsors.
collect myself. We're reaching the level of tired where the giggles are kicking in. Luckily, it's the tail end of the show, so we're still good because I'm about to give my take on the co-main event, and then we'll do the main, and then so on. Thank you, the 1,300 or so people of you that are around here actually listening to this co-main event. But the main event comes up next, and that's actually a good fight. It's a good fight. The first time it was booked, it's a better fight this time, and I got reasons for that. Caitlin Vieira, I mean, Yana Kunitskaya has some skills on the ground, but she can be dominated by a bigger, stronger fighter, and I think that's Vieira. I think Yana Kunitskaya is undersized for the division, and I think Vieira can ragdoll her. The minus 270 is a bit steep, considering how close this fight might actually be, because I could see at least one of those rounds going to Kunitskaya, but there should be at least one or two, especially the first round, second round for sure, should be going towards Vieira, and then she's just going to be sitting pretty, trying to skate to the decision. I don't think it's going to be predominantly close other than that final round. So I would not want to put her in a parlay or anything like that because some of these fights that can get super close, even though she should absolutely win. Sorry, see the Modelo. Cheers to the Modelo. I don't have Modelo, the brewed for the fighting spirit. These guys with beer. I'm actually a gentleman with a cocktail.
It was the cheer. The cheers was more important than the co-main event, so that's what I had to do.
That's true. It's true. We have 3 ways cheers. I'll give it to Mikey Gills because he's drinking some Goose Island, which is the Chicago beer. I'll go with that.
Good times.
Although I do like Modelo, and that was before the UFC. Now I feel that my favorite time ever, and it's probably a third rail I'm going to get canceled for it, but it's okay. My favorite thing ever was when they were going to have, it was when Stipe was going to fight, I believe it was Francis, but I'm not sure. And he got his individual Modelo sponsorship, specifically the Especial. And so they had a bunch of things at the local grocery store I was at, and it was a big stack of 2 different kinds of Modelo. It was Modelo Especial versus Modelo Negro. And I'm like, is this some type of guerrilla advertising that I'm unaware of? Sorry. Going to the main event. Yes, that was probably bad. Did you get tired enough to say things you don't mean? I didn't mean that, even though it actually happened.
We just got canceled.
That's
Hey, it's the beer is called Modelo Negro, folks. Don't ever talk back to Bob. Let it go,
exactly.
Bob.
That's fine. It's fine. I just took a picture and I shared it and then I just tagged it with hashtag UFC, whatever event that happened to be. Curtis Blades, my man, my Windy City champ. There's no bias there, obviously. Minus 400 at this point, man. Versus Derrick Lewis, plus 325. Real Mike, talk to me about Razor Blades versus the Black Beast or the I like to lay down for large portions of the fight and then just stand up and knock people out.
Yeah, this is a sad one for my boy Black Beast. I love some Derrick Lewis. My balls is hot. My chicken, whatever it may be. But this is MMA in the upper echelon of the sport. I just think that Curtis Blades wrestling is really that good, man. He's going to be able to take down Derrick Lewis, put him on his back like a big old turtle, and he's going to be able to drop elbows and rain down elbows from hell like Thor. There's nothing that Derrick Lewis is going to be able to do. He better pray to God that he hits Blades with a random knee or an uppercut when he comes in for the first takedown, because I think that's all he needs. I think Curtis Blades picks him up, takes him down, slams him on his ass, on his back, and just literally does whatever the F he wants with him. There's levels to this game. There's wrestling levels to this game. And Derrick Lewis has not put in the year's work on the wrestling mats or the jiu-jitsu mats to be here. So I'm going with Curtis Blades by absolute devastation, elbows to his face. He's getting wrecked. Derrick Lewis is getting knocked out cold.
What I like about Derrick Lewis is if you asked him if he's put the mat time in for wrestling and all that, he'd be like, nah, it's too hard. And you'd be like, yes, that's the perfect answer.
Well, hey, at least you're honest.
Yeah. But no, it's talking about the DraftKings stuff. 9,400 for Blades, 6,800 for Lewis. Right away, obviously, pick is Curtis Blades. This fight tailor-made for him. What's even better though is that for this fight, it's tailor-made for DraftKings, and just Curtis Blades is as high as a recommendation can get. What I really like about this is that Derrick Lewis is tough as hell, and he takes a massive beating just to put him away. And I can see a scenario in this fight where Lewis just survives for 5 straight rounds. Just, his toughness alone will just carry him through, and we can get another 170-point showing from Blades like he did against Volkov, another tough dude just on the bottom surviving. 5-round main events, guys, with wrestlers, you got to love them. Anyway, this fight does come with a little risk, obviously. Derrick Lewis, he's got that death touch, but Obviously, the death touch when you're on your back doesn't exactly work. It's that old like Randy Couture, James Toney theory. Don't think too hard about this one. Find a way to put Curtis Blades in your lineup. It's got the scoring potential to get you anywhere from like 150 to 200. That's we talk about it sometimes. That's Connor. That's red panty night territory. So don't think this one too hard.
My biggest issue with this fight is the odds, and not because I don't think it's unwarranted. I think it's getting close to what it probably actually should be. It's just when we first broke down this fight, Curtis Blades was like minus 220, and I would have told you to parlay him until the cow comes home, and I probably would have just played him straight at that because Curtis Blades is a smart fighter. I know sometimes there are not a lot of them. You have to like pick them out when that happens. He 100% knows how he's going to win this fight, and he's going to do that. Even if it doesn't make you happy, he's going to do that. He is going to take Curtis Blades down. He is going to beat him up. This is going to look a lot like Derrick Lewis versus DC, except he is going to be getting battered when Blades is on top position. And I do think eventually he's going to get the TKO on an extremely tired Derrick Lewis. I would give that out as a play, but even that's juiced at this point because it's probably always going to win. Obviously, Derrick Lewis has the death touch. It's a real possibility, but if anyone's striking has come along, it's Curtis Blades. He's smarter, a more defensive striker, and can throw in combination. He is one of 2 fighters that I know of that Bang Ludwig still trains in striking. He's completely switched his focus. He doesn't train actual fighters, but he trains TJ Dillashaw and he trains Curtis Blades out there at Elevation Fight Team. He doesn't train Elevation Fight Team. He just trains Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades, I'm sorry, man. He's, other than the kryptonite that is Francis Ngannou, even though he's been able to take his shots for the most part, not entirely get put out, even though he's gotten finished in the fights. Apparently, he's probably never going to get that one again. So you just got to hope that Ngannou doesn't get the title. But this guy would beat every other major heavyweight there now. I would bet him against Stipe. I would bet him against the aged DC. I would bet him against just about every single person in the UFC except Francis Ngannou, and that's just from past performances. Derrick Lewis has his chance, but he's just going to be too tight. The difference is, and everyone always brings it up, you have the, Blades round 4. Sorry, Prime just put in there, Blades round 4 plus 1,025. What I'm actually planning on doing with Blades, I didn't put it in here because I don't like to give out props. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to put some fraction plays, like half units or quarter units on like 4 and 5 specifically. Just because I think it's going to take that long and he'll be super tired out. I usually don't like doing too many rounds because the lower rounds, you don't get as good of odds. So if it ends up hitting one of those, you don't really make back what you would put on the further ones. Obviously that can bite you. Like I had that once for Max Holloway winning against Showtime Pettis, and I had 4 and 5, but he got him out in the 3rd because I had confidence that Pettis could actually last till the 4th, and apparently couldn't handle those body shots. And Derrick Lewis can't handle the body shots either. But Blades is smart, and so sorry, going back to what I was saying before I broke away from that. Everyone likes to bring up the fact that Derrick Lewis is like he gets taken down, he gets tired, but he stands up whenever he wants to. It's like that's fantastic that he stands up whenever he wants to, but that's not against Curtis Blades because you want to know who he didn't stand up against whenever he wanted to and push him off? Daniel Cormier. And this is a very similar stylistic matchup to that one. Obviously, there's a huge dog odds, and this Prime brings up, third is plus 625, 4 is 1025, 5 is 1625. So I'll probably put probably a quarter unit on both 4 and 5. And I got decided on 3. We'll see how out of shape Lewis looks on the scale because that's a real possibility. Because, man, like similar to what Mike Gills was getting at, cardio's hard.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Hard. Why? I mean, when you own a beauty shop and a restaurant and a bunch of like little things in the Houston area, why?
He wants to drive his truck to the cage, and I can see it happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can give him a golf cart that he could take from the back to the front.
Dude, hell yeah!
Especially not with, I mean, there's no audience members in the stands clapping. Might as well just drive up there.
Yeah, they do it like an old baseball pitcher from the bullpen. They do it in like a giant like hot balls mobile. Like, dude, we can market this. I'm trying to help.
Oh, dude, I'm 100% on that. Just quick breaking away from everything. I just want to give a shout out. I started doing this recently because other shows are doing this for us, and we really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to some Haps friends of ours. We got Johnny_B_good and at Yassine. I saw him here in the chat not that long ago. Big shout out to him. And at Lucia, I don't think I saw you in the chat this week, but I for sure saw you last week. Thank you guys that are on Haps that have commented or helped us out and spread the word of this show in the past. We very much appreciate that. And I want to quick give a review on our bet. We have a bet to win 2 units on Nate Landwehr at the -105. And Mikey Gills, if you would, give us a rundown on your DraftKings before we bid adieu to these 1,300 fine people here tonight.
All right, here we go. Deep breath. All right, I'll start off Curtis Blades, 9,400. Just in the simplest of terms, Derrick Lewis is a tailor-made opponent for Blades in both real life and on DraftKings. He offers almost no resistance on takedowns. He takes a lot of damage on the ground. He gets back up, but only to be taken down again almost immediately. All we have to do is hope is that one killer shot just doesn't land. I'm not really worried about it, though, for this fight. Blades should win this easy, and we want that. 9,400, lock it in. Next up, Tom Aspinall at 9,200. Enter the X24. Simply put, Andre Arlovski, he's basically being forced to fight the much more talented, younger version of himself. Like Aspinall, he's just bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled, hungrier. I love Andre Arlovski, and actually, I do feel kind of bad that bad's not the right word. Like I feel kind of guilty that I'm this happy to bet against him. But Aspinall should absolutely work him over in this fight, score a gang of points in the process. Next up, my boy, the money train, Chris Daukaus, 8,600. Like, I think Daukaus is set to establish himself in this fight. Oleinik, like he does present some real problems with grappling, but Daukaus is a black belt. He can stay out of trouble. Daukaus, he's in the best shape of his life. He's in the process of turning MMA into his full-time career, and it shows. If he keeps this fight standing, he runs away with it, and I think he gets a stoppage. I'm expecting big points from him. Money train, let's go. Next up, $8,100, Nate Landwehr. I'm with you guys. I'm still trying to figure out this price. Landwehr's he's been on the biggest stages in the world. Like he's super aggressive with his power. His opponent has chin issues. I guess it's just the fact that Nate will literally walk you down with his hands at his sides. Just makes all of us just a tad bit nervous. And honestly, I get that, but I don't care. I think he wins this fight, gets a stoppage. $8,100. It's a little bit of a gift of a price. Hope nothing crazy happens. Next up, I hate that I'm about to say it, Derrick Minor at $7,400. Look, straight up, this is a Russian roulette pick. I'm not trying to lie to any of you guys. Play at your own risk. Derrick Minor, he's just an opportunistic son of a bitch. If he sees any opening at all, he's going to take it. Like, I'm not picking him to win this fight, but of all the lower price guys, he is the best suited to pull a finish out of his ass at any moment. So for $7,400, that's really all you can ask for. Last up, Jared Bandera, $7,100. There is a lot to like about Bandera in this fight. The only real knock against him is the quality of his competition. That's a legit gripe. I admit it. I'm the first one to do it. Like, you kind of, I usually put this, like, you have to blow me away if you're going to like establish yourself beating nothing but scrubs. And truth be told, Bandera hasn't really done that. But against Sergey Spivak, like, I don't know. I kind of like Bandera in this fight. He can fight from range with his kicks, black belt in jiu-jitsu, and a nasty top game once he starts dropping bombs on you. This fight should be lying closer than it is, and I like Bandera. I actually like him for the win. Curtis Blades. All right, recap. Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall, Chris Daukaus, Nate Landwehr, Derrick Minor, Jared Bandera. I still hate that I said Derrick Minor, but whatever. Let's go. Oh, I'm tired.
I'm busy typing out. I'm TLC lyrics. You said scrubs again within the chat. Sorry, I got a problem. It's fine. Real Mike, you got anything to say to the people before we do our outro and bid adieu until next week?
No, we just appreciate each and every one of you each and every week, liking, subscribing, and interacting with each and every one of us. If you ever want an individual take on a fight that we didn't touch, feel free to message me, Mikey, or Bob, and we'll give you our take. Also, follow each and every one of us for bets that we don't post on here, because sometimes we fire after we see something at the weigh-ins.
Anything?
I don't really have anything to say other than a rallying cry. Look, tortilla is bread. Bread is a quintessential part of a PB&J. So I'm just saying, well, don't take my word for it. Believe the science. Don't be a science denier. All right, tortilla is still bread. PB&J all day. Let's go.
Yeah, you're still losing the poll by a lot. It's okay.
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at all of it. Ooh, Royal Team. Papa Prime himself hopping in. How you doing? Tail end of the show. I appreciate that. We will be back next week, as we always are. There you go. See, Kathy loves PB&J and tortilla. She's there for it. Sorry. I need to focus. I'm working on it. Long day. We will be back next week to preview UFC Vegas 20, Rosenstruck versus Gane or Gane. And yes, Rosenstruck has at least 3 times as long of a name. Does he have 3 times the skill? We'll find out next week. But don't forget to subscribe to the show on your platform of choice. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, RSV, and here on Haps. If you are here in the comments, we appreciate every single one of you. Yes, that was delayed. Remember, subscribe to us on YouTube for both full-length shows. I'm hearing the lip smacking of the tongue on the fingers. Sorry. If you're not watching the video, you're missing out on just
that's what happens when you don't have bread to soak up that moisture, you fool.
Yeah, this extends the meal. I'm gonna lick the plate when I'm done.
Subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to catch any of this stuff going forward. Yes, we're devolving. So I'm moving on. Like, comment, share to spread the word. He's licking the plate now. He's straight licking the plate. And with him licking the plate, let's roll.